we're going to go over one of the most commonly used commands, which is how to teach your dog to sit. The first step is to use a treat to lure your dog into position, and your end goal will be to have your dog wean off the hand signal and respond to your voice command alone. First step in teaching the sit is to lure the dog into position using a treat. So we're going to hold the treat to the dog's nose and guide him into the sit by holding the treat up and over his head. Good boy. Good boy. Make sure their butt is firmly on the ground before you praise and give the treat. You'll notice also the first 2 times that I did the exercise with Spike, I didn't say the word. I just wanted to see if it would be predictable with the hand motion. Once they're sort of predictable, that when you, good boy, you raise the treat over their head, that they're going to put their butt on the ground, you can start to pair it with the word. So you want to make sure you're using your command just before doing the hand motion. So Spike, sit. Good boy. Spike, sit. Good boy. The next step, once they're responding to the hand signal of luring them into position with the treat to their nose, we're going to use less and less of a hand signal, meaning that we're going to take the same motion, which is up and over their head, and make it a smaller and smaller version. You have to be careful of making sure that it's not too different of a hand gesture, and then you get some confusion with the dog and you have to go back to the step where you're getting success. Spike, sit. Good boy. Spike, sit. Good boy. Spike, sit. Good boy. Spike, sit. Good boy. So you want to keep working on fading off the hand signal until you're using no hand signal at all. You want to make sure that you're also not using any other body language, so no leaning forward, no chin movements or anything. Your body should just remain neutral while you're asking the command. That way you're sure that it's independent of any body language and they're really relying on your voice command. Spike, sit. Good boy. Good. Spike, sit. Good boy. Spike, sit. Good boy. Spike, sit. Good boy. Timing is really important, so you want to make sure that you're rewarding the behavior as soon as it occurs. So as soon as his butt hits the ground, you're going to hear me mark it with good boy, and then the treat really quickly afterwards. A common problem that happens is people wait to mark the command, and as they're giving the food, the puppy gets up and they start to learn sit and stand up becomes the sit command, and then it becomes difficult to get them into the stay. So once you've successfully weaned your dog off of the hand signal, you want to start working on a variable reinforcement schedule where we're not rewarding the dog every time. Ideally, in real life, you're not always going to have food with you when your dog sits to reward them. So you want them sort of working for the promise of the food. And in order to maintain the behavior as something desirable to the dog, we go from a continuous schedule where you're rewarding the behavior every single time that they perform it, to a variable schedule where they may get it after 2 repetitions of performing the behavior or after 5. This keeps the dog thinking that maybe this time they're going to get the reward, and it doesn't always have to be there in order for the behavior to occur. Spike. Spike, sit. Good boy. I'll start out giving him 1. Good boy. Spike, sit. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Spike, sit. Spike, sit. Good boy. Good. Spike. Spike, sit. So just ignore any kind of jumping or any undesirable behaviors from your dog. Spike, sit. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Spike, sit. Good boy. You want to make sure when you're going to the variable reinforcement schedule that you're not going quickly from the continuous rate of reinforcement where you're reinforcing every time to only after every 10 repetitions or something. You want to start easy, make him do maybe 2 things, then get a reward, sometimes switch back to after 1 repetition, then switch to maybe 3 things that he's got to do in order to get the reward. But always make sure you're marking the behavior and praising and even petting. A common question that we get is, now that I got my dog to sit, how do I keep them there? This is the next step in teaching the sit command. So what we do in foundation style training is we don't use a stay command, we use a silent stay, which means that there's a beginning and an end to every command. So what we're going to do with Spike here is ask him to sit. We're going to use our marker as soon as he's sitting, but withhold the reward for just a second until we say free. Free is going to be our release word. You want to really use a word that is not common in everyday, day-to-day conversation, so that's why we use the word free. In the beginning, it's not going to really have a meaning to the dog, so we're just going to wave them out of position with the treat in our hand. Spike, sit. Good boy. Free. So you'll notice as soon as he put his butt on the ground, I verbally told him his marker, which was good boy, and then a split second later, we're not waiting for a really long stay, we're not increasing our distance away from him. I'm just going to stay still, and then after a second after completing, I'm going to use my hand to wave him out of position. Spike, sit. Good boy. Free. Spike, sit. Good boy. Good boy. Free. Spike, sit. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Free. As I increase the time that I'm waiting before telling him free, you'll notice I kind of encourage him along by telling him good boy. Good boy is helping him with that there's the promise of the reward that's about to come. So if you say nothing to your dog after you ask them to sit and you're waiting a time frame before giving a treat, what often happens is they get out of position. If they get out of position, all you do at this point is just get them back into the sit position by showing them the food and asking them to sit again. You're just withholding the reward as a consequence of not waiting until they hear the word free. Spike, sit. Good boy. Free. You want to keep your training sessions short so that you're doing just a couple of repetitions at a time, maybe like 5 or 10 repetitions, and then you want to spread out your training sessions if you can throughout your day so it's more natural for your dog. You don't necessarily have to devote 45 minutes of teaching sit for your dog. The more realistic you can make it and work it into your day, such as asking them to sit before you pet them, before they eat, before they go out a door, it makes it more natural and more likely that it'll occur in regular settings.